She had just driven 22 hours, had a red swollen leg, and was on birth control. Every risk factor and symptom for a blood clot. And instead of getting treatment at a hospital here in Las Vegas, she was discriminated against and was told to go get insurance and see a specialist. They weren't a doctor's office. These are kind of the systemic issues that we see facing all of us in the working class, right? My daughter wasn't a one-off tragedy. She was part of a large group of people, and it's not just healthcare that's making us struggle and making us die in our communities. And you know, when we talk about solutions, I'm talking about from a federal level, those are the core issues of the working class. And when you're an ex-felon, now you have a whole nother level on top of that. We have to be working on a federal level. We can't worry about which state we're in, whether or not we have to check that box. We can't worry about whether or not we cross the state line if it's going to change. I want to fight this on a federal level. I want to make sure we're banning this box. You know, when you come out, it shouldn't be a lifelong sentence. That time and time again, you have to sit there and try and explain why this happened, right? But some of the things we have to do, we also have to address the illnesses within our community. We need to have a Green New Deal that is addressing the
in her race is just like the grand poobah. You know, everybody just sees that name and, okay, yes, that's who it's supposed to be. Please listen to this lady. Please learn what empathy is, what compassion is, what being real is. That has value, that has substance. But oftentimes they don't have a big enough megaphone for everyone to hear what the people that we need to hear. So please, sis, come up and let the people know why and how you're going to impact our community.
I'm very honored to be here, and I'm so glad I had this opportunity to speak with you. Again, my name is Amy Villela, and I am running to represent the people in Nevada's 1st District, simply because I believe we deserve more. For far too long, our status quo leadership has been complacent. And really what we need people that have that lived experience, know that struggle, and will take it with them to the halls of Congress and fight for all of us. I have that lived experience. I know that struggle firsthand. I am ready to fight, and I will be that champion. What I'm talking about is that lived experience. When you don't know what that struggle is, how is that a priority for you? How do you even know where to begin to start to fix it? How do you even have the empathy to go into the communities and give them a seat at the table so they can be part of the solution making with you? You see, I never thought I'd be in politics. I was that single mom in poverty that was raising 2 children, that was working multiple jobs. I was on Medicaid, WIC, and food stamps. I remember going to the corner grocery store just to get the sticker to make my tags right. I mean, that's being real. That is the struggle. Trying to pay aside from pay the electric, do I have somebody who has gas on that can bathe my kids so I can put food on that table? That's the kind of struggle I'm talking about. I never
is the issue. Yes. Policy is the issue. Policy is the issue. Because you can have the perfect person in place and a poor policy. And the policy then is going to block and hinder that person from being able to make any change. Policy has to change.
Good evening. Good evening. I just wanted to bring something up because, again, how you doing? I'm Mikey Kelly. I'm actually Robert Taylor's campaign manager, but I'm also a resident of North Las Vegas, a 16-year resident. One of the things that I've discovered about North Las Vegas is they aren't necessarily at times transparent. And when you're talking about, we talk a lot about Metro. Metro is unincorporated Clark in the city of Las Vegas. We don't talk about North Las Vegas's law enforcement agencies, and we have several in North Las Vegas. So besides the North Las Vegas Police Department, we also have city marshals within North Las Vegas. We have correctional officers now, and we have the constable and the deputy constables as well. What I bring this up to talk about something else. Several years ago, many of us brought this up, and as a matter of fact, I was in a conversation with Assemblyman Tom Roberts. And one of the things we talked about was accountability of law enforcement. The statute that applies to law enforcement officers or peace officers, NRS 289, actually permits an advisory review board to be appointed by your city council. And I would like to read it real quickly. And it says, except as otherwise provided in NRS 289-383, which applies to Metro, the governing body of a city or county may create a review board by ordinance to advise the governing body on issues relating to peace officers, school police officers, constables, and deputies of constables within the city or county. And such a review board in a city whose population is 220,000 or more, or in a county whose population is 100,000 or more, has 25 members. The North Las Vegas city government has never, I quite frankly know, will never tell their citizens that they have a right to have an advisory review board provide some oversight to their police department. So for those candidates running for mayor, I would encourage everyone to really consider this. You are correct. The mayor is one vote, but the mayor is a very influential vote, and we have to make sure that we as citizens are taking control of our government. This is our government. We pay them. We're ultimately the oversight. So if we're not holding our elected officials accountable, we're gonna fall into a complete mess, and that's what we're seeing now.
Thank you for sharing that. And which is why I gave you the mic.
Thank you. My name is Jonathan MacArthur. I'm a criminal defense attorney for the past 22 years. I happen to be a candidate for North Las Vegas Municipal Court, but as I'm not elected, I'm still just a member of the community. As a defense attorney, I go through discovery every day. I represent people that are accused of crimes. Now, in a system that's working even reasonably well, the majority of the people I represent are actually guilty of the crimes either they committed or a lesser version. It might not be as severe as what they're charged with, but it's not a surprise to me when they're actually culpable for something. However, I'd be lying if I didn't say that somewhere between 6 and 15% of the people I represent in an average year are completely innocent, and they just get caught up inside of the dragnet. But that's not really my point. My point is that working inside of the system, it's abundantly clear to me that Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department is the most important political player in the game. You don't become the elected district attorney without the blessing and the cooperation of the sheriff.
What he is naming is called invisible power. Repeat after me, say invisible.
Invisible
Power. Now, visible power would be the mayor. They are visible power. Say visible power.
Visible power.
I can see you, but I can't see who funded your campaign and who influences you behind the scenes. That is called
Visible
power.
Okay, go ahead.
And so, as not to take up more time than was just afforded me for the crosstalk, I respect what you do, right? Your efforts are appreciated. However, my perspective on the efficacy within the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department is very different. They are highly insulated against mistakes or misconduct of their own officers. From my perspective, I see the Internal Affairs Division, which is supposed to be the police of the police. But here, like some other communities, they're more like an insurance company, right? If an officer does something illegal or untoward, they evaluate the facts of that. Meanwhile,
They commit one crime of murder and leave that city, go someplace else, and they do it again.
That is true. That is very true.
We have,
Gotcha, I'm coming to both of y'all.
Oh, me first.
Coming to you. Give me
we
one
have
second.
not had a killing or murder in Las Vegas by the police in quite